Go yard. I got so much motherfucking design on right now.
Break it down, bring it back, make it clap. I got 3 old thoughts, new guap, wear that thing. Bitches on my line, and you know they come strong.
Hey, what's going on, boys? It's your boy Cool Kid coming back at you with yet another Clash Royale video. Today, boys, we are at 6,009 trophies. Nice. We're using this deck over here. We got the Expo Tesla, you know, OP combo with the Ice Golem and the Rocket. We got Bomber for all the Goblin Gang going around, Log for all the Goblin Barrels going around, and whatnot. And then we got the Cycle with the Skeletons and the Fire Spirit. Today, boys, I'm a little lazy, so I'm not going to hop into some real live gameplay. I am going to show some replays because I'm pretty proud of them. I think I'm going to start you off here with this Lava Hound deck because I do only have one air counter, and that being Tesla. Rocket does help out a decent bit against Lava Hound, but it is a bit tough. Here, my starting hand wasn't the greatest, so I went with Skeletons in the back. Then I went Ice Golem to counter most of those Goblins. Let the left side slide. And then I saw a Baby Dragon come down, so I was like, alright, I guess I'm going to go with Tesla. And the match is kind of slow from here. I promise it does get better. This Tesla counters up that Baby Dragon pretty nice, but I decide to support it with an Ice or a Fire Spirit just to keep it alive so it can straggle through this Skarmy. And then I went in with the Expo because he just went Lava Hound, used an Ice Golem, tanked his Inferno Dragon, used a Tesla, and tried to use Skeletons to block the Inferno Dragon, but unfortunately that didn't work out too great. He goes with Goblin Gang, so I log it. And now we have like no elixir compared to him. I don't know how I managed to defend 7 plus 4, 11 elixir with my like 3 elixir I had at the time. I just placed a Fire Spirit to tank, Ice Golem to tank, then went with the Tesla just to take out the Baby Dragon. He tried to arrow Fireball down that Tesla before the Baby Dragon went down, but luckily for me, it did go down, so I gave him a nice little thanks. Tanked these pops with some Skeletons, and now we're actually doing pretty decent on the elixir spectrum. And so I'm thinking, if he's going to go Lava Hound, I'm going to go Expo. So I was waiting for him to go Lava Hound, and he ends up doing it. I went with the Bomber in the back because I was at 10 elixir, but I went with an Expo anyways. Went with an Ice Golem to tank, thinking he would Inferno Dragon again, but he did do Goblin Gang, so I could just log it back. Even though the Goblins would have maybe died to the Ice Golem and the Expo, but we still did that. And then here I was like, oh crap, what do I do? I have like 5 elixir to defend like 50. So I just rocketed the Inferno Dragon, hoping that I could defend everything else. And then I went in with the Ice Golem, hoping to take out that minion horde with an Ice Golem and a Fire Spirit, and that did end up working out. And here my tower goes from like just under 2,000 HP to zilch. Those lava pups are absolutely cracked. That was a little scary. He goes with a Lava Hound. I knew he was going to Goblin Gang, so I just cycled back to my Bomber, try to get that down. And I did end up getting a small lock here. Definitely helped me in the long run. And then I went with another Expo as he goes Skarmy right on top of my Fire Spirit. And then he goes arrows, and I get a nice lock here. As bad of an Expo as I thought that was going to be, it worked out in my favor. I used a Tesla on the Baby Dragon, logged his Goblin Gang, and here I was like, oh crap, he has a minion horde. I was thinking, you know, Ice Golem, Fire Spirit, but nah. We went with a full-on Rocket to take out the pops and the minion horde with ease. And then he went Inferno Dragon, so I was like, okay. I'm just going to place an Ice Golem in the back. And then I went with Skeletons, try lure over the Inferno Dragon, and then Tesla it, but unfortunately I locked onto the Tesla. So here I had to rock, and then I tanked the pops with an Ice Golem, or the majority of them at least. I don't really know if it counted all of them. And then here we're just going with the Fire Spirit as the Ice Golem death damage takes out most of the minion horde. We got a little Goblin Gang chipping on our King Tower, but it's no biggie. We got the Expo down. And then we tried to go for a sneaky Tesla as the Skeletons tanked for the Inferno Dragon and tried to just obliterate his tower with just this Expo, but I was like, alright, he's in 2 rocket range. We're just going to try cycle these rockets as fast as I can. Ice Golem, Fire Spirit, Skeletons, Tesla just to take out the Baby Dragon and whatnot. Log, we're back to Rocket. And here, look at that push he has going on us. We're not bothered by it at all. We just rocket and absolutely crush him. That was a pretty good game. BM'd him at the end because he definitely should have won that. I don't know why he didn't. He was probably pretty trash, but we'll take it. Here we're going to watch a Royal Giant matchup. Once again, a very difficult matchup. He has Royal Giant, it counters your Expo. That should be the end of the story, but I managed to pull out a win on this one somehow, as you guys saw in the replay section. I went with the Fire Spirit, he tanked it with the Valkyrie. I went with an Ice Golem. I was like, oh shoot, I don't have my Tesla, what do I do here? So I went with an Expo and just tried to chip down that Royal Giant. Used Skeletons on it, but he used a Barb Barrel, and then my Bomber's just chipping away. I know I am going to be way too low in Elixir if I log or do anything to that, so I just let it go. Let my Bomber just kind of chill. He's alive, and then he goes to the Skarmy right on top of it. Nice little thank you right there from him. Go with Fire Spirit in the back just to try and maybe chip down his tower or something. I'm like, you know what? Let's go in with the Expo. He doesn't have Royal Giant in cycle, so we're doing it. And I did it, and he had Barbs, so that was a little unfortunate. And then he went with Valk, Bomber, and then Barb Barrel, and that just absolutely crushed me. So I was like, okay, if I use any more Elixir than this Bomber, I'm going to lose. So I had to just use the Bomber, take his Bomber shot, and hope for the best here, as we are still down by 2 Elixir almost. So here I was expecting a Royal Giant to come in, but he actually just went with the Skarmy, giving me a free 2 Elixir trade, or positive 2 Elixir trade, I should say, and that was nice of him. And then I'm like, alright, let's just go in with a Rocket, start cycling him, and we did exactly that. He was thinking, you know what, he just rocketed me, I think I can just go with the Royal Giant. And then so I went in with my Tesla, not thinking he had any real good spells for it, and he didn't this time actually. But then we log back the RG, don't take a single shot, and we're chilling. Only 3 Elixir down, but could be worse. He goes in with a Valk in the back, so I'm just going to rocket it, try get all this chip in that I can. He's going to go with a Barb Barrel, I just go with a Fire Spirit, 1 Elixir to counter 2. Always a good option. And then he goes in with Bomber in the back, so I go Bomber in front. I go in with the Tesla. This time he has enough Elixir for the Lightning, which I was not actually expecting, even though I should have expected it. Bomber kills all our Skeletons, so all we have to take out his Royal Giant right now is our own Bomber, which, if you didn't know, doesn't do a great job of taking that down. So we went in with an Expo to keep this Bomber alive, try to take out anything here. So he goes in with a Skarmy right on top of my Ice Golem, so fortunately for me, that kind of destroyed it. And then I'm like, okay, he has Royal Giant, what am I going to do here? I go with a defensive Expo, see what this can do. He goes in with Royal Giant anyways. I feel like that was a pretty dumb play by him. And then he lightninged, so I was like, okay, let's just set up a Tesla here, and then get back to another Expo, and see what kind of damage that can do, as we are down 2,200 damage. He goes in with the Barb Barrel, Valk, Bombers. He goes, Bomber, and I go in with my Bomber. We log all that back. He goes Royal Giant last second, but it does not tank the Expo, so that was pretty nice for me. The Royal Giant was relatively dead, but I still wanted to go with an Expo just to make sure it didn't take any shots on our tower. Those would have been an arrow range. And then he goes in with Barbs. Not his best decision, as I take that out with ease, and the Expo gets a gnarly lock here, and now it's just 1 rocket away, but I am a lightning and arrow away, so my rocket goes down, he plays his lightning, he has just enough elixir for arrows, but boom, rocket goes down, and we take the dub on that one. That was pretty fun. Just crushing what should be a hard counter. I'm just going to quickly show this one as well. I'm just going to times it by 4 because I am pretty proud of this one. I was BMing the crap out of him because I was like so salty about losing to a Hog XE NATO. Here he deals, or rather, like 1200 damage. So we go in with an Expo. I give him the thanks because it gets a nice lock. Now we're ahead by 1000 damage. Here I'm just gonna cycle a couple things in the back. Give him a rocket. Takes out the Executioner. Sparky damages the Giant. We didn't have to play anything else. And here, that's a free tower, free win. That's all I'm going to show from that match. That was pretty awesome. I was proud of that. And this is my most recent one. It was Splash Yard. And Splash Yard is known to be a bit of a difficult matchup for your Expo because you can't really get a lock on and you don't have the greatest defense, especially with this deck. I do have Bomber, but then he just has like NATO or something like that just to take it out. So here I go, split skeletons in the back, or right in front of my King Tower first play. Fire Spirit the bridge. He tanks it with a Baby Dragon. I go with the Tesla, and I was like, okay, maybe this Ice Golem will pull the Baby Dragon into the Tesla range, but it does not. Instead, it just takes out the Ice Wizard, and then the tower is forced to take out the Baby Dragon all on its lonesome. And here we're doing all right with Elixir. He goes in with a Bar Barrel. I'm like, all right, we're just going to log it. We're pretty similar on Elixir, even though I don't think I had to log it because the Tesla would have taken it down. But yeah, here we go in with an Expo. He goes in with a nice Tombstone. But fortunately for me, that Valkyrie was just not in range of the Expo, or not in front of the tower, I should say. And we take a nice lead with that. And he didn't have enough Elixir to place anything. So that was just pretty unlucky on his part. And we take the Valkyrie down with a Bomber and an Ice Golem. And then he goes in with a Baby Dragon. We're like, okay, he might go in with Graveyard here. I'm just going to Tesla this. Make sure it goes down pretty quick. And then he doesn't go in with Graveyard, so I was thankful for that. And I'm like, okay, I have a Tesla down. Ice Wizard in the back. We're going Expo once again. He goes in with the Valkyrie. And the Barbarian Barrel, so annoying, locks right onto the Tesla, or right onto the Expo, but the Tesla and the Bomber take it down with the help of the tower. He poisons up. And then my Expo doesn't lock onto his tower, but it locks onto the Ice Wizard instead. And here we have a nice little Elixir lead once again. Like 1.5 Elixir ahead of him, which is, better than nothing. So here I'm like, okay, I have a weird cycle or weird hand right now. I'm just going to go with Skeletons. I don't want to rocket him just yet. But I went with Expo instead. Tanked the Baby Dragon with the Fire Spirit. And then it tanked, the Tesla tanked for the Baby Dragon as well. He goes in with the Bar Barrel. Unfortunately, that thing always just loves sticking to the Expo. Even though I had an Ice Golem there, it still just targeted the Expo. It was a little annoying. But here, we're pretty even on Elixir now. He gives me an Ice Wizard, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with an Expo here. He goes in with the Baby Dragon, doesn't even bother tanking the Expo, and then he poisons and NATOs it, but that is clearly not enough. That's 2 rockets away. So here I'm like, okay, I think I have the Elixir, so I'm going to go in with my first rocket, and then just try cycle back to a second one, and hope he doesn't take me down with a Graveyard in the last couple seconds of this match. And I went with a Tesla, and went with an Ice Golem. Should have gone with Log, but I go with Log now. And then the Baby Dragon is locked onto a tower. That thing would have taken us down, but luckily for us, his tower is at 251. Rocket does well over enough, and we win that one, given the BM, because he honestly should have won that one. He had enough tanks to tank my Expo, but I guess he was just a noob and a half, so he didn't do that. And now that brings us to where we are now, which is 6,009 trophies. So, hope you enjoyed this little bit of a different video. It wasn't live gameplay, it was just replays, but that's all I felt like doing today, as I've been grinding all day and not getting much content on camera. So I just showed it off, whatever I had in my replays. So yeah, that was your boy Cool Kid. This was the deck. Peace out and toodaloo.
Do-do-do-do-do.